Hello everyone, 안녕하세요, Namaste. Today I am with my university professor, Professor Park Han. So good to have you today with us. And Professor Park is very good at English and Korean both. I'm good at Korean, but the interview is gonna be in English because that's what something which will make the interview more understandable to you guys. So Professor Park, today's interview, like I prepared certain questions for you, and you don't need to take the pressure. Just answer whatever comes into your mind, and it's okay. So my first question for you is, what made you choose teaching as your profession?
Yeah, thank you for asking. First of all, I got my BA from Media and Communication, and my master also from Media and Communication, and my PhD also Media and Communication, which means I'm a kind of person, who is a favorite of the media studies, right? And then I got my PhD from the, State of University at New York, and we call it a SUNY. Media and communication is a kind of window to the world. It's the frame. The what kind of window you have, and then your perspective, and then your world perspective are very different. That is why I'm teaching the media studies.
Okay, so Professor, I think we always have plan A and plan B. If plan A doesn't work, we always move to plan B. So, what if you weren't a professor? So, what career would you choose?
Wow. This is a really unplanned interview. You ask me, very surprising questions. Actually, I have the 10-year-old daughter, and then she asked me recently of a same question you did just now. She asked me what kind of other options did I have. So I have the three kind of the occupations in my mind when I was high school. First one is the reporter, journalist.
Okay.
Okay, and then second one is the politicians, like elected congressmen or elected peoples. What's the politics? And third option was the scholar, and then researchers. And why I kind of chose third options instead of the first two options. When I was young, I thought journalists and then politicians can change the world, can change the society. But as I kind of getting old, and then I feel like the kind of intellectual also contribute to the development of society. Contribute advancing the society. As important as journalists and politicians. So I picked up this job.
Yes. So I think you couldn't participate in developing the country, so you participated in developing the students like us. We are so thankful for that. So there are so many people who keeps on asking me like, why did you choose Korea to study? Like whatever the major it is, it doesn't matter. So what do you think makes Korean education different from other countries?
Oh yeah, education. What is unique about the Korea education? So just like the K-pop, K-food or K-drama, we have a very different taste from any other countries, like the Japan or China, Singapore. We have kind of the very deep emotional taste. So Korean people are very emotional. Particularly in my hometown here, Daegu, Gyeongbu, we are kind of the very much sound like the angry and
Yes.
sound like the aggressive, and then we would like to short everything, making everything short. For example, the yadi, you are not focusing on the study, and then we don't say, hey yadi, you should focus on. Instead of such a long phrase, here in Daegu, Gyeongbuk, we say 점. That's only one word, like a
Yes.
점, and
Yes.
then it means it implies everything.
This is our inside gossip. Professor always during the class, if he says something and it feels like he's scolding, so my friend is there, like who used to say, Professor is scolding me, and I'm like, no, he's not scolding you, he's making you understand. This is the dialect he uses. So there's Saturi, people use the accent and we feel it's rude, but it's not rude. It's their language, so it's okay.
Yeah.
So, Professor, my next question for you is like, what changes have you seen in Korean university culture over the years? Like, you have been teaching for so long now. So, is there any change or it's same as always?
So much things have changes. For example, the number of international students have rapidly increased. For example, my university has now 2,000 students. And then last semester, the student, attended my class was the 16 students from 12 countries.
Yes.
Okay, let me count the countries. France, and then Ukraine, and then Philippines, and then Indonesia, and then Brazil, and then Myanmar, and then Mongol, and then China, Nigeria, and then Bangladesh, and then only one Korean student. That is why this is not a class.
Professor, did you take the name of India?
Oh yeah, I forgot the India. That is why 11
See,
because
the Indian is here and the professor forgot the Indian.
that is why this is not a class, and then this is United Nations,
Yes.
and of course India is the hub of United Nations here. Because you are my next to me. That is why I didn't
Exactly.
count.
People all over the world, they think that Koreans put a lot of work when they study, and they have this test called Sunung. So during their high school as well, they study a lot, and most of the people have seen this in drama, and so they think that Korean students face too much academic pressure. So do you think the same as well? That Korean students, they have too much academic pressure, so they don't enjoy their life?
Yeah, as you know that Korea has rapidly developed, from the poverty country and then developing country, and then now is economically advanced country. So what drove the Korea's this kind of advancement, rapid advancement? We call this educational power. So as you know that we cram for the national entrance exam, and then this is too much. But we needed such kind of the exam, and then legal for exam. So the educational kind of this enthusiasm was really strong in Korea. But now things had different. So we need kind of the calm down, and then we need to step back, and then we have to think about the other countries, and then we have to think about how Korean peoples contribute to the advance of the world development. So in the past enthusiasm for the education was necessary, but and then that education actually has facilitated the development of Korea. Yeah.
Okay. Professor, I agree with your answer, and I also think so that Koreans do face academic pressure because they have this mind that they want to contribute in this changing world, and they do have contributions. So, as for me, I am an international student here, so this is the question I was most curious about. Like, how do Korean professors usually view international students as?
Oh yeah, yeah. How we can perceive the international student? That actually depends on the country. And then we Korean we have the some kind of the stereotype for the white people, and then we have the another stereotype for the colored people, right?
Yes.
So we perceive the white people or the white student, they are more like the wealthy, and then they are more like educated, right? Yeah. But this is kind of the we found out, we realized that this is kind of wrong, because as we get exposed to the white student as well as the colored student like the you, and then we realized, wow, words are so much flat. Yeah, the words are so much equal, and then the kind of perception or the kind of stereotype we had in the past was biased.
Yes.
So this is very important in actually distinction, between past era and then current era. So I like very much talking to the international students, right, and then interactions. As you know that you experience that Korean student, I could hardly make the questions.
Yes.
Korean students are silent,
Yes.
even though I try to push them, you know,
Yes.
and then I try to be empathetic with them, and then they kind of, you know, step back, right?
Yes.
For international student, you know, I just come, you know, closer to them and then try to converse with them, and then they are happy to, you know, converse, you know, back with me. But Korean student kind of, you know, they are kind of avoiding,
yes,
right? Yeah.
true.
So in this case, you know, the academically atmosphere really, you know, getting better. Where Korean students also can learn from the international student. You know, how can, you know, interact with the professors, or how can be more expressive, right?
True.
Yeah.
I actually knew how to interact with professors, and today I'm here shooting an interview with you because I knew how to talk to professors.
Yeah, without the without, you know,
without
prior.
professor was like, please give me questions, and I was like, no, professor, I will not give you any question. It will be unplanned, and you have to give answers whatever comes to your mind, because that's gonna be natural, and people wants to know your thoughts on that.
So if you are the Korean student, this is really impolite.
It's okay. So, Professor, I think that people around the world, they might have some misconceptions about Koreans. So, what do you think? What is one Korean cultural value you think foreigners should understand better about Koreans?
Oh, no, hurry up culture.
Yeah.
Like in Korea, when you go to the, you know, restaurant, and then, you know, Korean customers all the time ask the, you know, Korean waiters or the owners of a restaurant, you know, hey, I'm in a hurry, please serve my food quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, but this is kind of the, you know, very typical culture in Korea. So, and then international people think that, wow, Korean customers are so much rude. Yeah, they need, you know, to wait, and then they need to, you know, deserve, you know, some nicely cooked food. But in Korea, we kind of, you know, we are in a hurry actually.
Yes, true.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
always
we
seen.
are, almost, we are, you know, very much pressured to work hard. We are very much pressured to work, you know, things
Yes.
very quickly. So this is the
Yes.
culture you have to understand.
Yes, exactly. So, Professor, what do you think what is the reality of student life in Korea that social media never shows? Because I've seen that you are active on social media as well. So, what do you think that something students should know but they yet don't know about the Korean education?
Oh yeah, Korean education. Yeah, Korean education is kind of, you know, the divided, like a Seoul and then great, you know, Seoul areas, and then, you know, kind of the, you know, we call the regional areas or provincial areas, and then Seoul areas, you know, it's a very expensive living cost, right? Living cost is very
Yes,
high,
very high.
and tuition fee is very high.
Yes.
Yeah, but here, like the provincial areas, you know, relatively we have the, you know, the living cost is affordable, right? And then, you know, tuition fee is also affordable. But the quality of education you can get is almost same. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that is why, you know, people think that if you go to the, like the Seoul and then, you know, metropolitan areas, and then you can get the more cultural life or more, you know, the high quality education. But it's not, you know, it's not always true, you know. And
Exactly, but we are not demoting the Seoul universities. It's just like it's also good, but the outside the Seoul, they are also good. So if you want to choose universities outside the Seoul, it's fine. It's okay. You can. So, Professor, this is the question I was while preparing this question. I was like, I really want to ask this question because I want to know your answer. What is the biggest culture shock that you noticed in international students?
oh yeah, a kind of, you know,
Okay.
attitude, or like the one of my international students, like the Brazilian student. Yeah, he came to me, and then, you know, he kind of the cast like a nerdy joke, and
Okay.
then what kind of the money, you know, does the grandfather like?
Yes.
And he asked me this kind of nerdy joke. I say, grandfather's like? Oh, I don't know. And then, you know, he, you know, what's the answer? He said grandmother's money. So why? I said grand money.
Yeah.
So big money. Yeah,
yes.
grand money.
Yes.
So this kind of nerdy joke, you know, the Korean student never, you know, asked me. And then, but the, you know, international student, you know, just walked to me, and then he asked me this kind of things, you know. This kind of attitude is very much, you know, cultural shock. And then Antonio, he, he's in my class. He's all the time makes his, legs crossed.
Yes.
He makes his legs crossed.
Yes.
So this is very impolite in Korea, but I accept them because it's international culture.
Yes, actually, Professor, the crossing the legs is international culture for us as well. Whenever I sit, I cross my legs, and then I suddenly remember, oh, it's Professor or somebody elder than me in front of me. And in Korea, crossing the legs is very rude, and also this is very rude. So, and this is something like I'm always used to, but we need to understand each other's culture to balance it and go through. So, I would say that you should learn about their culture and then shift here so that they don't feel bad about it. And because they will not come and tell you that don't do this, you just don't have to do this. And Professor already noticed. I never knew Professor noticed.
Well, I got the education, from the United of America, and then I got my job experience in the in Amsterdam in Netherlands. So
Yes,
I have
yes.
so much global experience, and also Oxford Internet Institute. So I'm very free, free to this kind of culture.
Yes.
But you asked me. That is why I
Yes.
shared my opinions
Yes,
from
I
the
totally
other
understand.
other
I tot-
people's perspective.
Th-
I'm
that's
okay.
yeah, that's why it's like we should go to other countries to experience their
Yeah.
culture as well so that we can understand well. That's why Professor understands us because he's been to countries for his work and his studies, and that's why we are good. There's no problem. But we are international students, but we also have certain kind of good habits that people should adopt in Korea. So what do you think the habits of international students are that Korean students should adopt in their life as well?
Oh, yeah. So what can Korean student learn from the international
International
student?
students, yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they have to, Korean students also can learn, something from the, international student. And then particularly in this area, my hometown, kind of, I would say like empathy.
Yes.
Which means like a professor is also also kind of feel like depressed.
Yes.
Or professor is also kind of feel like the kind of very tired, right? So we are not a perfect, right? We are not perfect, and the international student, they kind of a little bit more empathetic than the Korean student at sometimes,
Yes.
and then here like the.
감사합니다.
Yeah, the Korean student, we are not very much expressive. So sometimes, they hardly say something, good to me, So these kind of things, So Korean students can learn from international students, like the expressive. Right.
Professor, you said that you like students to be empathetic, and according to me, I am also an empath, and I'm very empathetic. That's why I just made this question for you, which is, what is the hardest part about teaching students from different cultures? Because you taught us in the last semester, and there were people from 12 countries. So, what's
Yeah.
the hardest part of that?
Oh, the hardest part is definitely, the medium of communication, which means language.
Yes.
Yeah. So even though English is the most universal language in international communication, but not all students can speak English fluently, right?
Yes.
So the medium of language is very difficult. But as long as you are here in Korea, and then we expect international students to speak Korean language. Yeah, but this is also not, not easy for the international student. I understand that. That is why, the communicating with the, international student in the one language or, like the dual language or multiple language, this is a very difficult part. And also, I can see like a misunderstanding amongst international students. Because international students, like I said, 12 countries, right? They have different cultural background and then different language, right? And then different level of the understanding, subject matters, right?
Okay, I really much agree with your answer because for a professor, it's very difficult to. He can't teach us in 12 different languages. So if we request him, please speak in English, he does. And if Korean students request, please speak in Korean, he always do. And he also have like AI kind of things. So he tries his best so that we can understand, and we are very thankful for that. So, Professor, what the other question I want to ask you is, what's the one thing that you admire about the international students? They are living far away from home. So there's this qualities you might have noticed that you must have liked, that they are living far away from home, but they are still that good. So is there any quality that you noticed in international students?
Oh yeah, because I also have the I also had the similar experience when I was in the Buffalo, New York, and then Amsterdam and Oxford, and then the difficulty I had was food, and then weather. But international student, I think they are kind of really 잘 managing, really managing like the food and then weather, different like the atmosphere, different geography, different environment, right?
Yes.
So there is I really kind of respect and admire for them because they hardly absent my class because of the illness, right? They are very sincere, they hardly absent. So, which means, they are doing good, and then they are taking care of themselves, So they are
Yes.
adult.
Yes,
So you are
true.
deserve. You deserve to be treated as adult.
Yes, exactly. And for me, I am vegetarian. So people around me, they always say Korea is a nightmare for you because there are not many vegetarian options here. But I still cook for myself and somehow manage it because this is the choice I made. So I cannot go and complain about it that please give us more vegetarian options and all. I cannot do that. I cook on my own and do it on my own. So if you are ready for that, please shift abroad and experience the different education system. And the last question I would like to ask you is, what advice would you give to foreigner students who are studying in Korea, and also for me?
Oh, yeah. First of all, you have to be healthy. Yeah. You lose health and then you lose everything. All right. So you have to maintain your health, which means that you go to the gym and the fitness center regularly,
Yes.
and then and so which means that you can be physically health and then mentally health, right, and emotionally health.
Yes.
So that's I give you the advice. And then second thing is you should not trust one particular person or one particular like the institutions, which means that you should have the several partners you can rely on when you have emergency.
Yes.
Okay, so you need the one emergency contact, but you should not rely on the some kind of absolute person, all
Yes,
right,
exactly.
absolute things. Yeah.
I literally agree with this last point. Don't rely on only one person. Like he is or she is just my only friend. Have a friend group so that whenever
Yeah.
there's an emergency, you can just contact them and they help you out. And there should be Korean friends as well because this is the country which do have a language barrier. So you need to keep that in mind and do friendships like that. So, Professor, this interview came to an end, but there's one more thing I would like to ask you to do, and that is say 5 good points about me as your student.
Oh, 5 things. Oh, 5 things. That's too many. Can I say only 2 things?
Professor, it cannot be too many. I'm such a good person.
Oh yeah, you are so much energetic. Okay, you are so much energetic, and then you are kind of so much fluent in Korean language. All right, and then you also. I think your makeup skill is very good. Like this is the Korean, kind of K-beauty style or Indian style.
It's K beauty style.
Oh yeah,
Pink.
K-beauty. Yeah, okay. So I admire your the makeup. So I like to see that your un real, real face.
Okay.
Yeah. And then okay, I already said 3 things, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
3 things.
Okay, first things, you kind of a person like a mediating person, so, among the students. I like that. So you have the very good Nigerian friend, and you have very good, Brazilian friend, and Bangladesh. You are
Yes.
kind of mediating, like the bridging, person. I like that. And then last thing is you are the YouTube influencer.
So, Professor, thank you so much for giving this opportunity to me. And this is something I would have never imagined doing with a professor. So, here I'm very grateful that you gave me this chance. So, the interview came to an end, and thank you,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Thank
We say dhanyavad.
Dhanyavad. Thank you.
Okay, see you. Bye
Yeah,
bye. I'll
bye.
see you guys in the next video.
Wedding ceremony. We call it jure. Horse.
우리 결혼식에도 와주세요. 아직 계획은 없지만 와주세요.
Are you getting married?
I'm not getting married yet, but maybe I will get someday soon. So if you'll come, I would be grateful.
With the Korean person or the Indian person?
I am not sure yet because I'm yet to get someone. So it's
Oh.
even if it's Indian, it's Korean, it's okay. I just need to be loved by them. So
Okay,
it's
so
fine.
you have to pick the 1 over 10, your boyfriend. Right? I heard that you have 10 boyfriends.
Who said that? Who
Across,
said that?
across the world.
Across the world. I have 10 boyfriends. I never knew. I will just look for them now.